Well, hey guys, welcome back to Discover Music, and today we will be talking about a Black Tide album, which some people have heard of the band Black Tide for their first album, Light from Above, with their singles Shout, Shockwave, and Warriors of Time, and maybe even from their second album, Postmortem, with That Fire. But this is now today we are talking about Chasing Shadows by Black Tide, which is their third studio album from Black Tide, and they are a Florida-based metal band. And Chasing Shadows was released at the end of last year, to be exact, October 16th of 2015, and it was their first official studio release that did not feature their original bassist, Zach Sandler. And also their first studio album release without their original drummer, Steven Spence. Now, the album is a 11-track album, 10 actual songs, and then an intro track, which brings it to 11. The first single that they came out with this album is Angel in the Dark. And it was a solid single to release, and that was released a little over a month, actually a day over a month before the album was released. And it was really the only single that was released on this channel. We are not only talking about my opinion, because I have been a huge fan of watching album reviews basically all my life. I've seen multiple channels review albums, such as some name drops here: Cover Killer Nation, ARTV, Billy Casper, Todd in the Shadows, Rocked Reviews. All great album review channels, and I've got to give it to them for inspiring me to do my own album review channel. But I wanted to try to do something different, because I don't want to be following the crowd. I want to stand out as an individual. So, what I've seen throughout all those album reviews is that it's only their opinion, which is fine. A lot of people get paid a lot of money to give their opinion. But I wanted a more well-rounded review. So I got a bunch of my friends here locally, and 10 of us, including myself, reviewed this album. And I believe that brings a more well-rounded review in general. And it gives different perspectives from different walks of life and different interests of music. For I have a black metal listener reviewing. I have a classical rock reviewer. I have a heavy metal reviewer. I have a person who likes more like soundtracks and instrumentals. A person who likes pop punk and punk music and emo music. And a person who likes a variety of music. Another one who likes Christian music, a lot of Christian rock, Christian metal. And another one who loves blues and jazz and classical. And as you can see here, I myself liking hard rock, alternative rock, can go into heavy metal, even melodic death metal. And this gives a huge and a very, very broad and diverse review of this album. And it has served this album very well. And looking at all these reviews, it gives a really cool feeling of how different everyone reviewed it. But you could see similarities and what songs on this album were able to blend and have success through the different genres that my reviewers liked. Here I'm going to post the overall rankings through everyone, including myself, have given it. So let's go through it. First, number 1, Heaven achieved the number 1 place, and this song is a ballad. It is really the only ballad on this record. Songs like Burn and Chasing Shadows a little bit were slower songs for the album, for the really hard-hitting, almost classic but modern metal album. And Heaven really stands out as a huge difference maker and a huge break in the album. But it was a very pleasant break. Heaven, though cheesy lyrics saying how when I look into your eyes, it looks like I'm looking into heaven. It really has that underlying emotional connection. I don't know, I felt very emotionally connected with this song. It was the instrumentals and the solos and just Garcia's voice on this record really hit home. And that's why it hit the number 1 spot. I personally also rate it number 1. And talking with the other reviewers, they had the same critiques and criticisms and likings and positives of this song, of this track. Okay, number 2 changed as the reviews started coming in. It used to be Guidelines, and then Guidelines and Angel in the Dark was switching between 2 and 3, but Angel in the Dark stuck at number 2. And Angel in the Dark was their single that they came out with, as I mentioned previously. And it was a good track. I also rated it at number 2 as second best song on the album. It really hit home. I don't know. It was a really hard song, but it wasn't too hard. It lent itself to being a very solid, and it was a good choice for their single. I would have picked either that or Guidelines if I was releasing a single for this album. But Angel in the Dark really encompassed their sound. Black Tide's sound is pretty unique, yet pretty generic all at the same time. For Gabriel Garcia's voice is unique, but the whole feeling of the band is like that classic modern but metal band, you know? And the lyrics aren't there for really the whole album. The lyrics are lacking, but you also got to remember that they're still in their early 20s. They got a major record label while they were in their mid-teens, and so the musicality and the effort that they're putting into their music really are beyond their years, and I have to give them a lot of props for that. Now, number 3, the song that ranked number 3 on our list is Guidelines, and Guidelines was and still is a favorite of mine. I also rate it the 3rd best song on this album, and it has its up and downs. Like the intro to the song is really powerful, as in all the songs from this record. All the songs have really strong, impactful intros, and really the weaknesses of this album is really the vocals. Like, for listening to all the albums that Black Tide has came out with, Gabriel's vocals seem to have, I don't know, got a little bit more annoying throughout the years. He used to have a lot more raspier and a lot more passion, I guess, in his voice. Just even in the timbre of his voice. and now it's more on the nasally, kind of throated, annoying. Like, I still like his voice. It doesn't detract it to the point where I don't want to listen to him sing anymore. It just hurts. And a lot of the exposed parts, with the exception of Heaven, really brought down this album. And I don't know. I just don't want to know what it is. It rubs me the wrong way. And in this song, from this song on, it gets more and more prevalent of his voice detracting from the greatness the songs could have. And I don't know, it's just, it bothers me a little bit. Now, number 4, the number 4th ranked song is Sex is Angry, which by the title, I was like, oh great. Another stereotypical sex song from another metal band. And for all intents and purposes, it is. I personally didn't find it very great, jaw-dropping, awe-inspiring, but the rest of my reviewers liked it, and it got number 4th on the rankings. And from talking with them, I can see where they're coming from. It's a more hard-hitting song. It brings back a lot of their earlier or raw form of their band when they were releasing albums such as Life from Above or Postmortem. But I just really couldn't get into it. I rated it 8th. I rated 8th, and it's just I couldn't bring myself around to get over the lyrics and to get over the just the cliches that are rampant throughout the rock world, really. And I don't know. So going on to number 5, Welcome to Misery. Welcome to Misery, when I first heard that song, I really, really enjoyed the song. Since then, it has digressed a little bit. So it's number 5. I also rated number 5. It just, I don't know. Like, the exposed parts, again, really hurt it. When, he goes like, welcome to this place that I call home. Welcome to misery. Like, just a lot of the exposed parts, it doesn't hit home. And I don't know if he was just going, if he's going through like medical problems or his voice is being worn out from touring, but like, the saving grace for most of these songs, either the solo or the instrumentals in the background, because, like, I know the lyrics sure as hell aren't. They're not saving anything, and it seems like that's been a lot of the problems with metal bands today. But I'm not one of those people who bash the hell out of lyrics, because a lot of songs don't need hugely thought-provoking or creative or really deep lyrics. It really doesn't. And a lot of these songs work very, very, very well with not having hugely thought-provoking lyrics and massively clichéing lyrics. And Welcome to Misery works. It works. It's in the middle of the album. It's not I want to listen to the song again and again and again and again and again, which I tend to not feel like that in any of these songs, but it works. So now going to number 6. Track 6 was Promised Land, and I thought this track was very interesting of how my reviewer friends reviewed this. People who loved heavy music love this song. I don't know what it is. Like, a reviewer that likes black metal rated the song number 1 as their favorite. Another person who likes heavy metal rated as number 2. The pop punk reviewer rated as number 2. It was okay. I rated it number 6, like the mean of my reviewers did. I just couldn't bring myself to love it. It was a middle of the road. It was one track that kind of got lost in the album. It was the last and final track on the album, so I thought it was a mediocre closer to the album. It really didn't wow me at the end. If anything, because Heaven was right above it. If anything, I would put Heaven at the bottom track to end a nice somber, heartfelt moment. But I could see why, because it was a really head-banging, hard-hitting album that they wanted to end it with a hard-hitting song. But this song it didn't go well. Now we go to the title track, number 7, Chasing Shadows. And this song, personally, worst track on the album. It just was so monotonous and so, I don't know, it was whiny at times. The melody and the chorus was just repetitive, and now a lot of these songs are repetitive, but this one was really apparent. And two of my reviewers actually rated number 1, and I talked with them, and they got some good points. That Chasing Shadows had like a very good vibe to it. Chasing Shadows, for the people who liked it, it really hit home to them. And I'm going to tell it to you as it is, this album. And the whole point of why I brought in these other reviewers is because people who are going to watch my channel and people out there on YouTube are of all different types of genres. You know, there are so many niches and niche communities and niche groups that like certain types of music. And there are certain tracks in this album that certain people are going to like. So that's why I want to show how these different groups are represented in the people who are reviewing this album with me. And so Chasing Shadows is not right for everyone. I know it wasn't good for me. But it's... some people really enjoyed it. Okay, for number 8 now is Predator. In parentheses, Animal. And this song is really another sex song kind of thing, saying how he's like an animal, and he's preying, he's the predator, and he's preying on you and stuff like that. And I enjoyed the song. The song introed with a howl from a wolf and stuff like that. It had really cool instrumentals, really dark, dissonant instrumentals, and I refer to instrumentals as the background music, the instruments of the band, the guitars and drum work and the bass work. Vocals again were a little weak, but I rated number 4. I thought it was the top half of this album, but a lot of people just didn't like the style in it and how it kind of drug on a little bit, and different people have different pet peeves about songs. And yeah, that's all I gotta say really about that song. And number 9 was Before We Form. Another one, in my opinion, that just blended into the album. It really didn't. It was no one's favorite by any means, and it really didn't like shine. It really got just hidden behind everything, and it wasn't that it was a bad track. It wasn't awful, but the thing was that it wowed no one. So it got stuck in the middle, and since different songs, the other songs, different parts of it wowed different people, that made them rated higher, that pushed this song back in the rankings. And the last and the worst song, and by far almost everyone hated this song, was Burn. Burn was so... it was hard. It was hard to get through this song. Like, 2 people rated it in their top half of their album. In their the top half of the album. the rest of the people rated it either last or second to last. I rated second to last. But yes, this one was, to put it lightly, uninspired. It really, his vocals on the song was just so bland. Like he didn't even want to sing the song. That's how bad it was. And to be honest, I didn't even want to listen to it, but I had to tell you guys that if you buy this full album, it's a song for you to skip. A very few of you might like it. It's just not my thing, and it's not really any of my other reviewers' things, and it's just not me. Okay, so here come to the section of Girly Girl Approved, and you're wondering what the hell is that? So we all know, we all have girlfriends or friends who like pop music and like that bubblegum, Rihanna, or One Direction, you know, all those people. And this section is where I have a few girls listen to the album and tell me if they would enjoy listening to this album on a regular basis. Not necessarily reviewing it or whatnot, but just the style of music. And really, each one of them said no to this album. No surprise here, it's a heavy metal album. And girly girls don't like it. Really, no. So, guys, if you decide to put this album in while you're joyriding with your girlfriend, or you have a long trip, or your girlfriend's in the car, expect her to complain a lot. The only song that any of them liked was Heaven, because it was a ballad, and because of the cheesy lyrics, and that's it. So if there's one song you're gonna play, and if you want to like romanticize her, play Heaven. It's a good track. Okay, so this section is about my recommendations. Do I recommend this album, and what song do I recommend off this album? Now, Chasing Shadows by Black Tide is not for everyone. It really isn't. It is a subpar album in Black Tide's discography. It really is. It is a step backwards. And the tracks that I would suggest for this album would be Heaven, Guidelines, Angel in the Dark, and Sex is Angry. The majority of metalheads and people who enjoy heavier rock will enjoy those tracks. And people like alternative rock even. Heaven is a little bit more diverse since it is a ballad and not so hard-hitting. I can't put my seal of approval on this album. I just can't. Well, my final rating on this album is a 58 out of 100. It's above average. Now, on my scales, 50 is average. I don't understand those people who do 70 or 7 out of 10 as their average score. No, 50 is average. This album is above average, and it's not, but it really didn't do much for me. Highlights on this album were Heaven, Angel in the Dark, Predator, and Guidelines for me. And obviously, as a whole, the highlights on this album were Heaven, Angel in the Dark, Guidelines, and Sex is Angry. And if you want to throw a fifth for the top half, Welcome to Misery. I hope you guys enjoyed this album review of Chasing Shadows by Black Tide. Stay tuned for more. It will help me greatly, guys, if you hit the subscribe button or the like button down below. And if you have any questions, any comments, any suggestions, please feel free to write a comment below. I will try to answer any comments, any questions that you guys might have. Please help me make this album review channel the best out there. Peace out and rock on. I want to give a special thanks to all the people who helped me review. Here's some name shoutouts. Thank you, Andrew. Thank you, Tim. Thank you, Chase. Thank you, Tony. Thank you, Mason. Thank you, Anthony. Thank you, Nicole. Thank you, Colin. And thank you, Alex. All of you have been a great help for the starting of my channel. And let's hope this thing gets off the ground. And thank you also to my girly girl reviewer and my girlfriend, Gianna. I thank you so much for supporting me. And I hope you guys come back for more on Discover Music.